Raider Nation, what's going on? This is the Raiders Report. My name's Mitchell Renz. Can you tell? I got a new background. You guys voted on it, and I think we picked a winner, that's for sure. Now, let's get into some Raiders news. Oakland Raider linebacker Bruce Irvin was born to be a Raider, and I don't know about you, I think that deserves a hashtag Raider Nation in the comments because, well, I think that's awesome to hear. There's no doubt about it. After just 2 seasons as a Raider, linebacker Bruce Irvin has realized he may have been put on this earth to play for the silver and black. He tweeted out, low-key, feel like I was born to be a Raider. I think that's awesome. There's no doubt. And there's one thing that's also I want to know from you guys. How many years have you been a Raiders fan? I think I'm always blown away on how passionate you guys are, commenting on our shows on YouTube, on Facebook. And, well, I want to know how many years have you been a Raiders fan? And, Raider Nation, why don't you click subscribe? You see that little button down there? I'm going to give you a second or two. Click subscribe to the new Oakland Raiders report on YouTube. I would definitely greatly appreciate that. Now, let's get into some more Raiders news. Next one coming up on the board for you. The Raiders are going to pound the rock a lot this year. And, well, you know who said that? John Gruden. And I think that guy knows what he's talking about. So, Gruden has been vocal about wanting to pound the rock and plans to do so with one of the best offensive lines in the NFL and a group of running backs behind starter Marshawn Lynch. On Friday, the Raiders broke down every running back on their roster and started with an article stating that the team plans to pound the rock a ton. And I feel like, well, I don't know about you, but I really like the sound of that. This will also take some of the pressure off the shoulders of Derek Carr, who struggled a little bit last year. And, well, when you're going to run the ball effectively, that's going to help the team out a lot. Next bit of news I got for you guys coming up on the board. Cowherd. He picked the Oakland Raiders to finish last in the AFC West. And, well, I think this is a little bit, we'll say, ludicrous. Now, many believe that the Oakland Raiders are going to return to their glory days with Gruden running the show, but don't count Fox Sports radio host Colin Cowherd among them. On his Monday show, Cowherd went through the AFC West and broke down the good and the bad. Ultimately, he believes the Chargers will win the division and secure a number 2 seed in the conference. The Chiefs are a second-place team with a 9-7 record, and then the Broncos at 7-9. For the Raiders, Colin sees them as a mess, finishing at 5-11. His main reason, why you ask? Gruden not being able to find his way into the NFL after, well, missing almost an entire decade. Raider Nation, what's going on? This is the Raiders Report. My name's Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. Those are my news. Now I'm going to get into some rumors. And, well, if you're a new viewer, you're going to need to understand my Raiders rumor scale. 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. This rumor is not going to happen. 1 Chucky head, small shred of truth, 25% chance happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking 50-50 coin flip. 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely. I like to think 75% chance of happening. And then 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby, 100% this one is going to happen. So, let's get into some of those rumors. First one, Gareon Conley, a 2018 breakout. I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely. We broke down breakout players for each NFL team, and for the Raiders, we picked Gareon Conley on NFL Daily last night. It's difficult to have much more of a disappointing rookie season than Conley had in 2017. The former first-round pick barely played as a rookie, and when he didn't impress. The reason for his struggles were more due to the injury, not skill. He will be looking to prove the Raiders made the right choice when they drafted him last year. There has been a ton of hype around Conley this offseason. I'm buying a ticket on the Conley hype train. If you're too, then throw a train emoji in those comments below. Let's get that Conley hype train chewing. Choo-choo. Next rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board, E.J. Manuel is going to be the Raiders' backup quarterback. I'm going to also give this one 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely. So E.J. Manuel was in Dallas at the Fantasy Football Convention on Saturday, and, well, guess who was also there? Your boy, right here. I waited in line patiently to get my little interview with E.J. Manuel, and I introduced myself, gave myself a little humble plug, Chat Sports and the Raiders Report being the #1 show on YouTube and Facebook, and I asked him, who's winning the training camp battle between him and Connor Cook, and who will be the backup to David Carr? He looked at me, he smirked, and he also said, me. I'm the guy winning it. I'll be honest, I like this. I think E.J. Manuel is clearly the more talented guy, and he's the guy that I want to back up Carr, no doubt about it. Is it time to give up on Amari Cooper? Well, I'm going to give this one 0 Chucky heads, tuck rule, tuck that. Now, guys, seriously, raise your hand if you thought Amari Cooper was going to have a breakout year, or, type in 1 since I can't really see you guys. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I definitely did. I thought he was going to have a breakout year in 2017. So many people And like I said, including myself, we're expecting that breakout year for Cooper in 2017, and it's for good reason. Cooper was coming off back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and entering the popular third-year breakout season. Cooper was selected to the Pro Bowl in each of his first 2 seasons, and it was assumed he would make a big leap in year 3. However, that didn't happen. Cooper played in 14 games, caught just 48 passes for 680 yards. His catch percentage dropped all the way down to 50% and became one of the most inefficient receivers in football. Consider this, though. Despite his poor 2017 season, Amari Cooper has the 7th most receiving yards all time before the age of 24, and he just turned 24 in June. Cooper's 2,903 receiving yards puts him behind guys like Randy Moss, Mike Evans, DeAndre Hopkins, David Boston, Larry Fitzgerald, and Akeem Nicks. But he's in front of guys like Brandon Cooks, Allen Robinson, and Odell Beckham. Raider Nation, it's not time to give up on Amari Cooper. This guy's an absolute stud. Next one I got for you guys coming up on the board. Raiders Week 1 underdogs against the Rams on Monday Night Football. Find out after a sponsor, Mizzen & Main. Well, I'm going to give this one 4 Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. Now, I'm going to definitely root for the Raiders, but the Rams did a lot this offseason, and that's why they're ultimately underdogs. It seems many sports bettors aren't willing to buy into the hype surrounding the new-look Raiders in 2018. At least, not until they see this team on the field first. The Raiders will start off their regular season play with a matchup against the Los Angeles Rams, a team unquestionably on the rise entering 2018. As things stand, the Rams are an early 3-point favorites over the Raiders, and even with the game being played in Oakland, 80% of bettors think the Rams will cover the spread. So, I want to know from you guys, who's going to win Monday Night Football Week 1? If you think it's the Raiders, give me a heart. If you think it's the Rams, give me a like. And heck, if you want extra bonus points or brownie points, I got a sweet tooth. Why don't you throw in the score as well? That's definitely greatly appreciated. Next Raiders rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board. Oakland, an above-average pass rush. I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, pretty likely. Now, yesterday, PFF released their rankings for the top pass rushing defenses in 2018. We know Khalil Mack is a nightmare for defenses, and if Maurice Hurst and Arden Key could step up in 2018, this will make Oakland one of the best pass rush units in the league. Also, adding to the equation, Bruce Irvin, who is looking for double-digit sacks season. The Raiders could finish in the top 10, but PFF also thinks that the Broncos and Chargers have a better pass rush in Oakland. I don't know what the heck's going on with all these people ripping on Oakland, but I think Oakland's going to have a pretty solid team, and they're going to have a pretty solid pass rush, that's for sure. Last Raiders rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board. Kolton Miller is not going to start. Wait a minute. I'm going to give this one 1 Chucky head, small shred of truth. So, this isn't for me, right? This is from a guy from SB Nation. Kolton Miller was selected in the first round of the 2018 NFL Draft, and he's not going to be starting. So SB Nation wrote, Miller could take a back seat before starting at tackle. Miller was a good pick, but with Donald Penn at left tackle and David Sharp possibly on the right side, it may be best to have Miller develop for a while before starting him. I don't have an issue with Penn, but Sharp? Come on, man. I get he looked pretty good filling in for Penn last year, but I can't imagine him starting over Miller. Miller is getting a ton of reps right now at left tackle, but Gruden has already hyped up how athletic Miller is, and I believe he will be able to play right tackle at a high level. Sorry if I sound flustered, but about to crack open a Miller, and let's live that high life, Raider Nation. Raider Nation, thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. And why don't you guys like Oakland Raiders by Chat Sports on Facebook so you know exactly when I go live. I talked about some news. I talked about some rumors. Now I'm going to get into the second segment of my show, which is the top 5 free agents Oakland could still sign this offseason. Oakland's been busy this entire offseason, and, well, I think I got 5 names that are definitely going to pique your interest, that's for sure. So let's get into that first guy on the list. It's Eric Reid. Reid is 26 years old and coming off a season where he played 13 games for the 49ers. The market this offseason for safeties has been kind of strange, but from a talent standpoint, there's no reason why this guy shouldn't be signed. The reason he makes the list is because he could perhaps play linebacker/safety hybrid position for the Raiders. Gunther is a safety whisperer, and the Raiders are still without NaVorro Bowman and Khalil Mack. He would add a ton of versatility to this defense. So now I'm going to bring up some safeties that they have. Carl Joseph, I love. Obi, a lot of upside. Reggie Nelson a little bit older, but just imagine if we could add a guy like Eric Reid. He could play like that linebacker safety hybrid, add a lot of defensive, versatility, which I know a guy like John Gruden would definitely love. Next guy coming up on the list, he's a cornerback, Bashaud Breeland. Now, are we 100% sure that Leon Hall is going to be able to play all 16 games this season and be a reliable option for the Raiders? He missed 7 games last season and hasn't played a full 16-game season since 2010. The top song in 2010 was TikTok by Kesha. Well, TikTok on the clock for Leon Hall and for Father Time. Over 4 seasons in D.C., Breeland recorded 270 combined tackles, 60 passes defensed, 8 interceptions, and 7 forced fumbles. Now, let's bring up those Raiderback corners. Gareon Conley, a guy who we talked about earlier. Absolute breakout. Rashawn Melvin, he's coming in over from the Colts. Love him. He's a stud. Leon Hall, though, again, I don't know if I can rely on him. I understand he played really well with the Bengals and with Gunther, but this guy's kind of old. He's over 30 years old. Darryl Worley I like a lot, but still a young guy, 25 years old. And then Nick Nelson has a lot of upside out of Wisconsin, but still a little bit of a question mark. No doubt about that. Raider Nation, today's show is brought to you by Mizzen & Main. And, well, Mizzen & Main, thank you so much for hooking me up with this sweet shirt. I woke up, rolled out of bed this morning, and I put this baby on, and it was like I never even left my bed. Unbelievably comfortable. I almost wore it to the gym, in fact. Head over to Mizzen & Main, www.comfortable.af, and get yourself one. You're definitely going to love it. All right, next guy I got coming up for you guys up on the board is a wide receiver, and his name is Jeremy Maclin. This edition is solely based on the concern and question marks surrounding Martavis Bryant. There was a report that Bryant may be suspended, and if this happens, they may target a player who was already rumored to joining the team this offseason. Maclin is 30 years old and coming off 2 straight years of playing just 12 games. Maclin would be able to fit into the West Coast offense, I think, fairly nicely. Now, let's bring up the Oakland Raiders wide receiver depth chart. Now, I like Amari. I like Jordy Nelson, what he can add to the team from we'll say a locker room perspective. Martavis, though, that's the question mark. And if we could get a guy like Maclin to fit right into that third spot, that's a pretty solid receiver, and he could fit in, I think, pretty quickly with the West Coast offense. Next guy I got coming up on the board, well, a big-name wide receiver, and that guy's name is Dez Bryant. Bryant is also on here because of the uncertainty surrounding Martavis Bryant. If there are no issues with Martavis, and the Raiders will not target a guy like Dez or Maclin because their wide receiver depth chart, I think, is already steady. So, again, let's bring up that depth chart real quick. That way I can show you again. Awesome. Ryan Switzer, he's a guy who I think could just add a little bit into the slot. Seth Roberts, I've already talked about. I think the Raiders, from a talent standpoint, should cut him, but it's not going to save them a lot of money. But if you had a guy like Dez, the Raiders struggled a lot in the red zone last year, and, well, sure, he didn't really get along with a guy like Dak Prescott, but I think Dez can still add some sort of an element to that offense and really stretch out the field. And if they're going to pound the rock with a guy like Marshawn, I think, again, it's just going to add more elements to the red zone, which the Raiders definitely needed, and it's going to help out a guy like Derek Carr for sure. And, well, he's also kind of old, and that just seems to be the Raiders' theme this offseason. Last guy coming up on the board, and I don't think it's that big a surprise, it's NaVorro Bowman. The Raiders caught a break in 2017 when NaVorro Bowman was released by the 49ers. Oakland signed the 3-time Pro Bowler who would end up leading the team in tackles with 89 in just 10 games. Last season, Bowman gave the Raiders a true presence at the linebacker position that they haven't seen since Kirk Morrison roamed the field. It is for this reason he is the Raiders' top priority free agent this offseason. Now, Raider Nation, let's check out some of those linebackers that they have from the middle linebacker position. Bowman is just a solid guy in the middle, and I understand we signed Whitehead, and I understand Derek Johnson. But Akeem Victor from Washington, he's a guy who had a lot of upside, but he kind of struggled this past season. And then Kabita from Penn State, I like him a lot, 3-time captain. Markel Lee, I'm not really sold on him. But if we can add a guy like Bowman, covering the middle of that defense, I mean, what more do you want? The guy was an absolute monster last year. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's circle through all of my top 5 free agents that the Raiders could still sign. We got Eric Reid at safety. Maybe he could also play like safety/linebacker. I wouldn't mind seeing that on the field. We got Breeland at cornerback, solid guy. Jeremy Maclin at wide receiver, and Dez Bryant at wide receiver. Remember, they're on here just in case because what's going on with Martavis? We heard some things, and if that goes down the drain, well, then we can maybe rely on a guy like Maclin, Bryant, 2 veterans. And, well, that just seems to be the theme of the offseason for the Raiders. And last, and certainly not least, linebacker NaVorro Bowman, if we could get him back on that defense, and an absolute staple at the middle linebacker position. Raider Nation, thank you so much for tuning in to the Raiders Report. My name is Mitchell Renz. Please follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. And until next time, go Raiders.